Be ready for BYU Game Day. Download the KSL News Radio app to stream BYU games, plus breaking news during the week. That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Welcome back in, Cougar Nation. Taking your calls up until 7 p.m., 801-575-8255. Let's get back out to the phone line before we get into what's trending. Jeremy, from where I live, my beloved Vineyard, Utah. I love that place. Jeremy?
It's a great place.
Oh, it's fantastic down there, man. It's a nice little hidden gem in Utah County. Love it.
Absolutely.
What does Jake got to do this week against Wyoming to make you feel good about him going forward?
Well, can we really learn anything from a lesser competition? We might not. You know, Wyoming is suspect at best, and so he might have a really good showing this week, but are we going to learn anything? Because, you know, we're not really up-leveling the competition. I think the big test will be Kansas State in a couple of weeks. My challenge right now is he going to be like he was last week where he put together a great drive, but then it really kind of flipped when he had that fumble. Everything after that fumble, it seemed like he was rattled. So where's his head at? Where's his head going to be at? Can the coaching staff talk to him about, you know, staying composed in a situation? Because it really seemed like everything was clicking up until that first fumble on that blown, you know, pass, running back, you know, just missed from that point on. It seemed like he was rattled from that point forward. And so, yeah, we may not learn anything except he's really good against lesser competition. I think the real test will be Kansas State, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Thanks for the call, Jeremy. I think that, you know, Jake has got to be, you know, live to play another down. Take the sack if you need to. You know, even Kalani said today that they've had drives where they recover from sacks. It happens. You know, you don't want to take a sack late in a game if the game's on the line and you need to make a play. But in those moments where he did, you know, he's trying to make a play, take the sack, live to see another down, live to kick too. Like, end every drive with a punt, a field goal attempt, a PAT, end every drive with a kick. And if you do that, you're going to be okay. I mean, I just think BYU will be a team that can be in position to win a lot of ball games and pull some upsets this year if they just take care of the football. I almost took for granted the ball security ability of Zach Wilson, his final year in 2020, and Jaron Hall, his 2 years as the starter. You kind of take that for granted because, man, and even Keaton Slovis was pretty good too. BYU had a string of great quarterback play of just taking care of the ball. This has kind of been like a shaking the core of Cougar fans. They haven't been used to this in a while.
I do disagree with my brother from Vineyard on what can be learned against Wyoming. A lot can be learned. We talked about this a lot in 2020. Yeah, the schedule was light, but are you going to dominate these teams and show that you are much better?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Wyoming.
And it's on the road.
It's on the road.
If you can win on the road, and I know that BYU's going to be a big favorite, like, you know, 8, 10 points, whatever it is. Like, you win on the road, I don't care who it is, and just take care of business and handle your business and take care of the football. Yeah, I think that could definitely be progress from SMU. Absolutely.
If he puts up Southern Illinois numbers with no turnovers, that is you're learning that you can bounce back from adversity and handle business. Now, of course, you do need to see that level of play against a higher quality opponent, but I think we can learn something against Wyoming from Jake Retzlaff.
I agree. And look, the fear of a game like Wyoming this week is that their back is completely against the wall. And look, they're not a good football team, and I think BYU is going to win comfortably in this game. Kind of spoiler there. That's how I feel. I don't see anything drastically changing that. But, you know, if BYU just does that and backs that up and Jake performs well and doesn't cough up the football, that is progress. Because, look, we all understand the situation with this quarterback unit. It's not ideal. It's not one of the better quarterback units in the Big 12. It's just not. I know Jake was motivated by that PFF graphic of him being ranked 16th, and I could disagree that maybe he's not 16th, but the performance he had at SMU, that was the 16th best quarterback in the Big 12. He backed up PFF on last Friday. So he's got a chance to prove him wrong, and Let's see what he does this week. And if he does take care of the football and put up some big numbers through the air, which they are going to need because the ground attack is going to be shorthanded this week.
Let's get back out to the phone line. Marcus in West Jordan. What do you make of Jake Retzlaff, and can he restore some faith in your eyes as quarterback number 1 this week against Wyoming?
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I think it's a situational football where he seems to be kind of reckless with the football and making those, last-second decisions, which all quarterback play is really kind of quick decision-making. But Wyoming, as you pointed out, is an inferior team this week. But since they're going to play at that, nothing-to-lose mentality, I'm expecting them to throw some blitzes, some packages that will put him in some adverse situations. And with a linebacker on his back and not a lot of space in the pocket, I want to see that he's going to throw the ball away or get the ball quickly out to the side to get him out to the running back, or an easier pass play, something quick and easy. And hopefully Aaron Roderick, of course, will design some escape passes or some quick things for him to do. But yeah, just don't want to see him throw those nasty interceptions.
Great call. Thank you, Marcus. A text from 9831. You can text us as well if you don't want to call in, 575-00. Typical BYU on the win. Great defense, bad offense. I don't know if that's typical BYU. I would say maybe it's the other way, would be typical BYU. But terrible in-game adjustment, says this texter. Players not ready to go, sloppy play. I don't agree with a lot of that, except for maybe the in-game adjustments. I felt like maybe once LJ went out, there needed to be a little shift in what you were trying to do. LJ was having some success there, and when he went down, could there have been more of the quick passing game, which we didn't see a lot of, but I like that call from Marcus Mitch where, yes, Wyoming is bad. We don't need to keep beating a dead horse. They're not a good football team.
We don't need to tell Cougar Nation, like, hey, be afraid of these guys. BYU better play their best football. Like, we understand that, but like, at the end of the day, BYU should take care of business and roll. They should.
But I like those situations. On a third down, make the right read. On a blitz, pick it up and get the ball out hot. That would be improvement for Jake Retzlaff. Another text, 9489. No turnovers from Jake. 250 passing yards, 2 TDs. Even then, against Wyoming, it's not going to change much public opinion. He has 6 games of average to mediocre play, which is fair. But, I do think there is an opportunity here against Wyoming to show improvement for Jake.
I like this text, too, 4888, and I agree with this. The offense has to have more explosive plays and take a deep shot every quarter. That is Jake's bread and butter. Like, cater to that and go take some deep shots. The guy wants to.
Yep.
He's got to be smart about it. And to Marcus's point, if it's not there, throw it away. But take the deep shots. That's where he had success, and he acknowledged in week 1 he was having fun with those deep shots. He had 8 explosive plays in that win over Southern Illinois. I'd like to see that too. Texter from 5781, at this point, with half a season worth of game under his belt, it would be foolish for anyone, including coaches, to expect anything different from him. This is who he is. He will turn the ball over. Book it. And you know what? That is the fear.
That is the fear.
That is the fear that he is
just who he is. Can I play devil's advocate, though? He started 6 games, okay? This isn't a guy who started 2 seasons worth of football and has turned it over twice.
But he's played a lot of Big 12 competition and good. The only great game was against an FCS team.
That's fair.
Against Power 4s, he's struggling.
Had one great game in 6, and that is a fair point. I'm just saying, in some respects, we're acting like this is his second year as a starting quarterback. He hasn't even started half of a college football season.
You get JUCO guys because they've got experience after high school. So, and he put up massive numbers. That's what's crazy. There's like this disconnect here where maybe it's just an indictment on JUCO football, because JUCO football is not what it once was, say, when Sark was coming out, in the 90s. But, he was putting up record-setting passing numbers. Passing, Jake was, in the JUCO ranks. And he rewrote the record books at Riverside, CC. And that's where it's like, where's that? Was it just kind of
But is that – I would push back on that a little bit, saying I think some of that is Aaron Roderick. I haven't loved the way Aaron Roderick has called the offense last year or this year. Yeah. So – we've never seen an up-tempo, 2-minute, 4 and 5 wide set straight pass with Jake, and that's probably his strength. So I think Aaron Roderick's got to find a way to use this guy right, too, and I don't know if he has up to this point.
And I feel like a segment of Cougar Nation does feel like it's just who he is, and Aaron Rodgers just going to be who he is. And they're like,
well, if that's the case, then we are going to keep seeing the same stuff.
But that's what I think makes fans a little bit more willing right now, even after just week 2 and a win. Like, let's see what Gary's got. And then, look, there was a case to be made at the beginning of the third quarter after that pick, where it would have been easy to say, Gary, here you go. Here's your chance. And look, if Gary goes in and it's a mess, hey, feel free to go back to Jake.
Right.
And then maybe come November, we're seeing the McKay Hillstead show. I don't know. We'll see. We'll figure this out. It's a week-by-week thing, man. But
this is not where you want to be. Can I just make this abundantly clear? We cannot operate for the rest of BYU football as week-to-week quarterback
BYU
play.
needs to get some home runs in the high school recruiting ranks. Helaman Kasaga, 2026 kid at Corner Canyon. Ryder Lyons, who took an unofficial 5-star to that Southern Illinois game. You got to get dudes like that.
Yes.
You got to revive the high school recruiting, because banking on transfers to come save the position is not working. You got to get some homegrown dudes that are signing from the high school ranks, and you keep them, and you maintain them, and you deliver them, and they're high-level 4-star, 5-star prospects. Say what you want about recruiting rankings, but the best teams are killing it on the recruiting trail with the stars. Like, that's just what it is, and you got to get at some of those. And BYU, just the last 3 cycles, has not. They once upon a time, for a brief moment, had Jackson Dart as a commit. Imagine the world right now with Jackson Dart at BYU. I don't want to go down that path, because then I might get a little sad. But that's they got to do a better job of recruiting high school, and I think some of this will be better. But you know what? I'm holding out hope that Jake will get better, because I do believe he has gotten somewhat better from last season. His knowledge of the offense clearly is better than last year. But now it's got to execute, and the decision-making, I think, has got to clearly improve.
Let's take a break. Central Bank, 133 years of trusted banking service, modern technology, and fast lending decisions. Back after this.
Cougar fans, use this radio station tomorrow morning for important news updates. Listen to Utah's most important radio station tomorrow morning from 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Cougar Nation! Hope all of you are having a fantastic Monday evening. Mitch Harper, Matt Baiamonte with you.
It's been a crazy Monday, Mitch. We had new iPhones, new Apple Watches, a 100th birthday for President Nelson of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and R.I.P. to James Earl Jones, the voice of Darth Vader. I made sure to watch some clips today in honor of James Earl Jones and respect his great work as the best villain in cinema.
Yes.
It's been a crazy Monday.
It has been, and it's only gotten better, though, with Cougar Nation. These phone calls have been great. If you want to get in on board with the show, 801-575-8255. Weigh in on your thoughts on the quarterback situation. Also, this game coming up on Saturday, and it's sponsored by Central Bank, Cougar Nation is. 801-575-8255. BYU and Wyoming. Saturday, brace yourselves, in Laramie. Who would have thought we'd be saying that in 2024? Cougars are going to go to Laramie for the first time in 15 years. Kickoff at 7. Pregame starts at 7 or 5. We will get coverage started with Cougar Sports Saturday at noon. This game, BYU 2-0, Wyoming 0-2, off on the heels of a loss to Idaho. Wyoming's not good. And, we're kind of harping on the quarterback situation with Jake after a win. Wyoming, they got a quarterback in Evan Sabota who has just been bad, historically bad. Former Snow College transfer. He is struggling mightily. And Wyoming, their back's against the wall, and it feels like they got to find a way to do something to maybe inspire hope and belief that they might be competitive in the Mountain West. They're looking down and out right now.
Despite that, Mitch, are you buying what Kalani's selling?
We see the film. We know the situation that they're stuck in right now, and that they're going through some adversity, but that's when you're going to get their best.
I do believe that, because this opponent, the logo on BYU's helmet, will inspire that fan base. I went to Mountain West Media Day in July. I was talking with some of the Wyoming media. They were saying that Wyoming fans are telling these Wyoming players, hey, who cares about the border war? Beat BYU. And the border war is their rivalry with Colorado State. Beat BYU. Wow. So this is one of those games where, okay, yeah, you go 1-11, but hey, we beat BYU, because it's the last time I hope and pray that BYU is ever going to play in Laramie again. Like they better not be going through the turnstiles at Laramie ever again, Matt. So this better be the last one. And if it's the last visit, well, Wyoming fans are going to be inspired, and you got to think their team is going to play a little extra inspiration. Now, this is not a case of, they've been holding back the playbook for BYU. No, they're just struggling mightily. But, no, I do believe Kalani's sentiment that they could maybe rise up for a game. That's just college football, though, in general.
Yeah.
You got 85 scholarship guys. I mean, you get a scholarship in FBS level football, you're a talented football player. And when you go on the road, too, anything can happen, but BYU is the clear-cut better team. They just got to take care of business and look and feel and act like they're the better team.
I do like that they're playing this road game after having been through some adversity on the road. For them to have to overcome 3 turnovers, put together a game-winning drive, have a defensive stand. We have not spent enough time talking about that defensive stand where you had double spies. That Jack Kelly was shooting out of that linebacker position like a cannon. They deserve some credit for what they were able to do in Dallas on the road. That gives me some hope, but they will be shorthanded, Mitch. The running back room has taken some injuries. Here's an update on LJ Martin and Hinckley Ropati and their availability this Saturday night.
Had some guys get banged up in the game. That happens. But as of now, looks like it's doubtful for LJ Martin and Hinckley Ropati.
Does that concern you?
It does, because Miles Davis and Enoch Nawahine are next in line, and they haven't shown much in their BYU careers. They gave you some highlight plays last week in relief, but Miles Davis, to his credit, though, he did have a 131-yard performance 2 years ago against Wyoming, but still, LJ's the star, and you don't now have a star running back, and we've heard so much about the importance of this offense. Number one priority is going to be the ground attack, and you just don't have a feature back. And I think that's a little bit worrisome, but I think BYU can get by. And then you have Pokayawa Hunga, you've got Sione Aimoa, maybe Javesa Damuni dresses and emerges on the travel roster as well, just in case if you have to dig farther into the depth. But
if you have to dig that far, you just need to go straight up, 4 wide, shotgun,
right.
Pass the ball.
But LJ Martin, it looked like it was an ankle injury in Dallas. And the thing is, on the sideline, I was watching him closely, and he barely could move. And then when he's ending up on crutches at leaving the stadium, it doesn't surprise me that it's a doubtful situation. I will say this, the saving grace for Hinckley, Folau Ropati, we talked to him in the spring about this scenario. Him and his wife are expecting their first child. On September 14th, I believe, is the due date, which is game day. And he was a little bit worried. He's like, I hope it's on Sunday. If there's a week to miss for injury, it's this one. So hopefully Folau Hinckley can just be there with his wife, and they can have that moment together. But it is a little bit concerning and something of note. But on the flip side, Wyoming, they're without their top running back too. They're tight end. So they've got some injury issues as well. And so BYU's just got to bounce back. And look, it could be a great story if Enoch and Miles Davis give you some high-level production that makes you feel a little bit more confident about the depth going forward in the Big 12 play.
On the note of Miles Davis, texter 4469, let's hope BYU gets the same type of game from Miles Davis against Wyoming like he did back in 2022.
He was great in 2022. Remember, that was a slow-starting game against Wyoming. BYU was nationally ranked.
It was way closer than I thought it was going to be.
It felt really close, and Miles Davis was a big spark in that game. And, he put it over the top where BYU pulled away from Wyoming, and Wyoming's head coach said that in that locker room, it was Craig Bohl, the Wyoming head coach then. Craig Bohl turned to Jay Sovol and said, "It's a shame, we're not going to have these guys in Laramie. They're going to buy out." Well, they didn't. Tom Homo kept that
there either.
Tom Homo kept this bad boy on the schedule, and BYU's back in Laramie. What is Lavelle thinking up above right now?
He's probably loving it.
He said he'd rather lose and live in Provo than.
I think Lavelle would have liked what college football has become.
Oh no, I'm assuming no. But I don't think he'd like seeing BYU in Laramie again.
I actually don't hate the matchup as much as you do.
I look,
because it's kind of fun. It's nostalgic. It incites emotions, and it's not going to matter about the college football playoff. It plays no bearance on the college football playoff.
If BYU lost this game, Matt, I don't want to. I'd be afraid of next Monday on this show. The phone lines would be on fire if BYU lost to Wyoming.
Would it matter in terms of access to the playoff?
That is true.
That's what I'm trying to make, is that we can have some more fun non-conference games.
If you lose to Wyoming, man, you're not winning many more. That's just all I'm saying. Hey, this has been a lot of fun tonight. Appreciate you, Matt. Appreciate our producer, Nate Slack, intern, Allie Braithwaite, and we'll talk to you next week here on Cougar Nation, here on KSL News Radio.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It is 7 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Mark Jackson. KSL's top story.